SOLIDWORKS 2016 introduces many new assembly enhancements to increase productivity and speed the assembly process. First, the Profile Center Mate introduced in SOLIDWORKS 2015 has been added to the Quick Mates toolbar. All controls for this mates are available without having to access the Property Manager, including the lock rotation option for round selections. Also available is the Symmetric Mate when 3 selections are made, as well as the Width Mate when 4 faces are selected. If you remember, in SOLIDWORKS 2015 we introduced the ability to replace a lost mate reference that was used by multiple components. For instance, when this bracket was bored out, the face used for mating was removed, resulting in failed mates. After editing one of the mates to that part, you were prompted to repair all other mates to that face. Now, in SOLIDWORKS 2016, we extended this to include mates to a component that is used multiple times. Using the new selection tool to select identical components, you can see that we have 3 of these knobs in this assembly. If we change the configuration to a version of the knob with a new stud, you can see that we get errors in the tree because the face was not changed but replaced. Now I can edit the failed mate of just one of the components, and SOLIDWORKS gives me the option to replace all the missing references of the other components, a real time saver. When working with assemblies with many degrees of freedom, it can be challenging to position components without adding additional mates to lock parts down. In SOLIDWORKS 2015, we introduced a way to temporarily fix and group components to reduce degrees of freedom when using the Move Components command. For SOLIDWORKS 2016, we're making this tool much more accessible by placing it directly on the right mouse menu. Select the items that you want to fix or group, and this temporary mode behaves similar to the Isolate command. In SOLIDWORKS 2016, you can now copy and paste multiple components at the same time, and any mates that exist between these components are copied as well. Previously, components had to be copied individually, and therefore mates had to be added manually. This can be done through the menus or with a simple Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V. When inserting a component, it's possible to select the desired configuration immediately, saving time by not having to change it after placing it. When using the Mate command, the first selection now changes its display to transparent, enabling you to see and select items that may be obscured by the first selection. For example, to mate these 2 cylindrical holes, it's much easier to select the internal component, and mating this thrust washer is much easier as well. Another commonly requested enhancement is the ability to show a component window while mating it. With the new Component Preview window, this is possible and can make adding mates much easier. Notice that the previewed component becomes transparent in the main window, allowing selections to be made easily. Virtual components are a great way to store components internal to an assembly and minimize files on disk. And now when making a subassembly virtual, you have an additional option to make the subassembly and all of its child components virtual in one step. This can be a real time saver. When renaming a component in the assembly, it's no longer necessary to open it in its own window. It can now be done directly from the Feature Manager. SOLIDWORKS lets you know that this rename is temporary and will be permanent when the assembly gets saved. Opening parts in their own window is just a right click away, and now you have the option to access and directly open the part and the subassembly structure that it belongs to. Notice that this assembly has been renamed in its own window. When you hit the Save button, SOLIDWORKS allows you to simply execute the rename or access where used information and update any references where this assembly may be used by searching through any folders that you choose. The Component Preview window has many other beneficial uses. For instance, if we copy and paste these 2 parts using standard Windows hotkeys, we can use the Component Preview window to see internal areas of the model. Let's mate the nut to the pivot bracket, and since it is transparent, you are able to select through it and mate the conical face of the screw to the vertical pin, and you're done. A new command has been introduced for SOLIDWORKS 2016 that allows you to purge unused features in a model. Any parts that are suppressed in all configurations are listed, and any assembly features that are unused are listed as well. SOLIDWORKS warns you that these features may be used in other models and should be deleted with caution. The same capability is available in part mode as well. Features that are suppressed in all configurations are listed, and any sketches in reference geometry are available to be removed if you're sure that they are not used elsewhere. Finally, when working with toolbox components, you now have a favorites folder to store the most commonly used items. Simply drag and drop them to the favorites folder and they are ready to use. A big time saver is that multiple toolbox components can now be edited in one go. Previously they had to be edited one at a time, which could lead to errors. Not only that, but you can now change the fastener type of toolbox components. You have access to the entire toolbox library. Just select the new type, then change the size and length, and SOLIDWORKS replaces the toolbox component. The mates can then quickly be repaired using the Replace Mate capability discussed earlier. Just replace the concentric and coincident mate of one of the components, and SOLIDWORKS takes care of cleaning up the mates to all the others. With so many new enhancements in SOLIDWORKS 2016, your assembly productivity is sure to improve.